Welcome to this channel. Today we will discuss an extraordinary hypothetical military operation between the US and Israel against the IRGC Iran's underground missile complex in the Zagros Mountains. This operation began precisely at 3 o'clock in the Persian Gulf. A Tomahawk missile explodes out of the VLSL of the destroyer USS Gravely, launching at high speed toward the target in the Zagros Mountains. The missile booster falls into the sea, the turbofan engine ignites, and the missile descends to 50 feet above the surface of the Gulf to avoid detection. Within 90 seconds, 8 missiles are launched sequentially from several Arleigh Burke class destroyers, including USS Gravely and USS Carney. This marks the largest military operation in the region, targeting Iran's impenetrable underground Ogab 44 complex, which stores a missile city behind hundreds of feet of granite. Iranian commanders are confident that their mobile transporter erector launchers TELs are untouchable, isolated in an air gap, with no external connections. However, Israeli operations had infiltrated the base months earlier, installing ultra-mini passive GPS beacons attached to the TEL chassis. These beacons remain dormant until activated, then transmit precise coordinate signals through a secret channel to the OP-16 spy satellite at 300 kilometers altitude. At 3:08, after the go signal from the U.S. Navy, the beacons emit data, enabling the satellite to see inside the mountain, identifying bays, tunnels, and precise TEL coordinates. Iran's isolation turns into vulnerability, as every TEL movement updates the targeting solution in real time on the screens of USS Gravely and USS Carney, displaying TELs as blinking green targets. As the Tomahawks approach the coast at 3:12, Iran's fiber optic network streams data to the BAVR-373 air defense batteries, which rely on massive power. Israeli F-15I jets, under strict electromagnetic control (EMCON) to remain invisible, launch supersonic rampage missiles at energy nodes' high-voltage transformer substations around Ogab 44. The strike vaporizes the substation, shutting down the grid and fiber optic backbone. Iranian commanders activate emergency generators. These generators emit superhot exhaust visible to Israel's or an AEW and C infrared sensors, exposing the complex as a glowing heat signature. This severs the nerve center, rendering the hard bunker irrelevant despite its thick concrete lining. At 5 o'clock, with the defense grid flickering on backup power, Israel's Unit 8200 initiates red code injection via a man in the middle exploitation on the IRGC satellite command uplink. Authentic packets flood the terminals, displaying red alerts: emergency maintenance required, systemic anomaly detected immediately. All TEL batteries stop charging, initiate emergency shutdown, and retreat to hard depot sector. This exploits Iran's top-down structure, causing crews to comply and drive TELs into open terrain for maintenance. Or an AEW and C tracks the exposed vehicles in real time, turning hidden assets into clear targets. At 6:30, IRGC scrambles MiG-29s and F-14s from Mehrabad and Tabriz bases to regain control. Israeli F-35I Adir jets, flying silently, activate override protocol using AESA array to mimic US F-35 signatures and corrupt the BAVR-373 data link. This tags Iranian jets as enemy cruise missiles on their own radars, triggering automatic friendly fire. Ground defenses fire SA-15B missiles at their own aircraft, dismantling the Air Force without a Adir weapons release. At 8:30, Iran's air defenses become smoking ruins, with interceptors grounded and bunkers paralyzed. At 10:30, remaining IRGC naval units launch a suicide swarm of dozens of anti-ship missiles from coastal batteries, aiming to overwhelm U.S. defenses around USS Gravely and USS Carney. Aegis Baseline 10 system, supported by SPY-6 radar, engages in autonomous mode, launching Orion-161 SM-3 and Orion-162 ESSM interceptors. Israel's Arrow-3 missiles from mobile batteries join via Link 16, creating a layered kill chain. The Helios laser system on the U.S. ship begins to activate, burning low-flying cruise missiles mid-flight, ensuring no threats penetrate the defense perimeter. The suicide swarm was dismantled in less than 5 minutes, leaving only smoldering debris floating on the surface of the Persian Gulf, clearly visible on the U.S. fleet's radar screens. At 12 o'clock, with Iran's naval defenses completely paralyzed, the final phase of the operation begins. Precision strikes on the core of the Ogab 44 complex using GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bunker buster missiles from USB to Spirit bombers. These missiles penetrate hundreds of feet of granite, exploding inside the missile city and destroying stored Fateh 110 and Shahab 3 ballistic missile stocks. Seismic sensors across the region detect vibrations like a small earthquake, signaling the collapse of the main tunnels in the Zagros Mountains. At 13:15, Israeli Special Forces from Arleigh Burke unit infiltrate the outer perimeter of Ogab 44 to confirm damage and gather remaining intelligence. They find the remaining TELs as smoking wrecks on desert highways, evidence of the success of the GPS beacons and prior airstrikes. The Russian support expected by Iran, including Su-35 aircraft from the Hmaimim base in Syria, begins to withdraw after witnessing the destruction through their own satellites. At 14:30, IRGC Central Command in Tehran receives the final report. 80% of Iran's ballistic missile capability has been neutralized in this operation. This operation proves the concept of overmatch through digital warfare, where enemy systems are turned against themselves without large-scale direct confrontation. Now, let's analyze the strategic impact. The loss of Ogab 44 weakens Iran's threat to Israel and U.S. allies in the Middle East. Iran may respond by accelerating their nuclear program in Natanz, but this operation shows vulnerabilities even in underground facilities. The U.S. and Israel use data from this operation to update military doctrine, focusing on AI integration and cyber warfare. On a global level, this could trigger escalation with Russia and China, who view it as a threat to their alliances with Iran. However, this hypothetical operation emphasizes the importance of technological superiority in modern conflicts, not just troop numbers. Let's look at the role of satellites. OFEC-16, often referred to as OP-16, becomes key in providing irreplaceable real-time intelligence. On the Iranian side, the failure of the air gap shows that physical isolation is insufficient against advanced infiltration. Israel's Unit 8200 once again proves their cyber expertise, similar to past operations like Stuxnet. For the U.S., the Aegis system and Helios laser mark the evolution of naval defense against swarm attacks. This operation also highlights the increasingly close U.S.-Israel cooperation under the shared threat from the IRGC. Economic impact: Iran loses billions of dollars in military assets, slowing their recovery. At the end of the operation, 18 o'clock, the U.S. fleet withdraws to international waters, leaving Iran in chaos. This is a lesson for other nations. Future wars will be won through innovation, not brute force. At 12 o'clock, with Iran's naval defenses completely paralyzed, the final phase of the operation begins. Precision strikes on the core of the Ogab 44 complex using GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bunker buster missiles from USB to Spirit bombers. These missiles penetrate hundreds of feet of granite, exploding inside the missile city and destroying stored Fateh 110 and Shahab 3 ballistic missile stocks. Seismic sensors across the region detect vibrations like a small earthquake, signaling the collapse of the main tunnels in the Zagros Mountains. At 13:15, Israeli Special Forces from Arleigh Burke unit infiltrate the outer perimeter of Ogab 44 to confirm damage and gather remaining intelligence. They find the remaining TELs as smoking wrecks on desert highways, evidence of the success of the GPS beacons and prior airstrikes. This operation proves the concept of overmatch through digital warfare, where enemy systems are turned against themselves without large-scale direct confrontation. Now, let's analyze the strategic impact. The loss of Ogab 44 weakens Iran's threat to Israel and U.S. allies in the Middle East. Iran may respond by accelerating their nuclear program in Natanz, but this operation shows vulnerabilities even in underground facilities. Thank you for watching this in-depth analysis. If you enjoy hypothetical military content like this, like and subscribe for more updates. Remember, this is purely a hypothetical scenario for educational purposes, not a real prediction. See you in the next video.